handful of people, some great ideas came out of those trainings where students were saying, you know, I think we should have a designated LGBT ally liaison in every sorority chapter on campus. And I think something like that would be really awesome to see unfold.
I agree.
Okay.
We at Eastern, it's much smaller than University of Illinois, and we don't have, I guess, a lot of information coming back to us from the fraternities and sororities there. I think that the organization, the student organization, does a lot of good trying to get awareness and send our message out, but I don't know that it's being received by the certain people who need to receive it. I actually do have some super queer people who started a chapter of a fraternity. I'm not sure if it's national or if they made it up. I'm not really familiar with it, but it's inclusive of gender expression, gender identity, queer people, etc. So it's pretty exciting stuff right now. They're just kind of just started, like within the past month or two.
Thank you. We're about time to wrap up, but if there's any questions, please write them down. We'll collect them. And just to give you time to think about it, I just kind of wanted to share a poem that's really, really close to my heart. It's written by a transgender individual. So just in that context. It's called This Body Is Not Me. It's not easy when the world does not understand how much it kills me every minute of every day, when I can't look at myself in the mirror because it speaks too much to me, when I can't go into a public bathroom because no place seems to belong to me, when I can't speak in social situations because this voice doesn't belong to me, when I can't introduce myself because this person is not me. This is too much for me to handle. When I hear my birth name, my skin crawls. I cry and bleed to wake up and be me. Why should I have to explain who I am to the world? Why should I have to go through so much effort? I'm too female for a straight girl, and I am too manly for a lesbian. And when I find that special someone, how am I going to let them know that this body that I was born with is not what's on show? So how will they know that how do I know that I won't scare them away? How can I stop myself from feeling that I'm not man enough for anybody and I'm not too much of a freak for anyone to ever love me? And don't tell me that I'll be okay when I have so much to go through. Do you know the cost that I will pay? Don't think that this is a choice that's easy for me to make, because I hate what I have to go through to be who I want to be. I'm terrified of the treatments, the surgeries, and the stress. I'm scared of losing my future just because I wasn't born right. I'm scared because humanity continues to disappoint me. I look at people, and I hate to admit my jealousy, because no matter how good science can be, no matter what I try to do to save me, it will never ease the childhood memory that this body is not mine, and it should not be a part of me. Has any more questions? I'm going to wrap this up. I'd like to thank again Student Senate for their generous donation making this happen, Jessica Pettitt, and the rest of our panelists. Let's give them a round of applause. For anybody who's interested, there's a Transgender Day of Remembrance table that we set out for all those victims of transgender victims of hate crimes. So it'd be nice if you can kind of maybe look over it, reflect a little bit, or you just have a really, really nice night. Thank you so much for coming.
How are you personally impacted by this panel?
Well, I can't speak from a Greek perspective, but what I can say is that it taught me a lot about side-gender privilege, being somebody who's not trans and not having to think about things like fearing going into the bathroom or going into a locker room, or how people say, you know, thank you, sir, for holding the door. It's really an eye-opener that we take for privilege a lot, and so I think this will certainly be an experience that I can carry with me in my everyday life, whether it's going to the store or you know, even when I walk into a bathroom. So I think that, you know, the Gammas here are doing a fabulous job on getting that conversation started and teaching people, whether they're Greek or not Greek, you know, the trials that some of our brothers and sisters on this earth go through. So it was a very positive experience.
Well, what I thought was something that, as a straight female, I never have to think about, and I guess I never realized kind of the problems that people faced or like the struggles that people went through. And I'm really excited to see where this takes Millikin. I really want to see Millikin go to the next level and really take this panel to heart, and for everyone to see what the information we learned tonight about how we can include people, how we can make people feel more comfortable in their own bodies.
I think it really just helped me continue to have an understanding of what issues transgendered populations deal with, particularly helped me continue to think about and be aware of the issues that our students are going to be facing as I continue to advocate for them, which is the biggest. My biggest goal is to advocate and make sure that they have access to opportunities here at Millikin that they don't have. They feel included. They don't feel that Millikin isn't somewhere that they can be at. So whether it's advocating with them and taking them to meet with faculty, administrators, making sure a simple place like going to the restroom, something that's very, to anybody else with that privilege wouldn't be a big deal, but for someone who's transgender brings up a lot of anxiety and it's a large issue on campus.
All right, basically, I think this event was really just trailblazing. One, just to be Greek and to actually hear these type of conversations, because I don't hear a lot of Greek members ever really do talk about it or think about it, and just to think about how transgender fits, because, you know, Greek life, you know, there's a separation, fraternities and sororities, and you know, in the beginning, and just to think about part of the biggest pillars is based off your sex, like being to be even eligible to be in those organizations. So I think this was definitely a trailblazing panel discussion. So I'm really thankful for this event, because sometimes it takes for somebody else to say something for you to even think about it.
Moved to tears at the end, especially with the poem, and I really think that this is the right step for Millikin, especially Millikin, because I know that, especially even in our Greek community, that there is a high population of LGBT people that are involved. So I think that this needs to be the next step, and I couldn't be more proud of the Sigma Lambda Gamma National Sorority, Iota Delta Chapter active members, because I know how much work this was, and it really ran smoothly. I was very, very impressed. Because I know it takes a lot of work to put together something of this nature and to make it very professional. And that's what Gammas are all about. And I am just so pleased to be here. I'm so proud of you all.
First off, I think it was great. I'm so glad that I was able to be a part of this panel. And I think it's great that this is the first time I've ever seen a college campus bring this into Greek life. I've done plenty of campus speaking engagements, but I've never actually gotten involved with the fraternity and sorority side of it. So I think it's great that they're actually doing this here, especially, you know, because I consider Decatur kind of being a small town, and Millikin is a big university, but it's great that they're having this down here, you know, of all places. And I really hope that the people who saw this are going to take this with them and, you know, think about it and internalize it, and then have discussion with their friends and with their brothers and their sisters, and hopefully, you know, and then the next year they can start including this into their own chapters and going into the national portion of it and getting that involved too. I mean, I think this could become a huge thing, or at least having them go tell their friends, and those friends who go to other colleges go, oh, you know what? I'd like to do this with my university. How can I do it? You know, so I think it's a great experience, and I think that a lot of potential is here, and that hopefully somebody's going to run with this, and we can make this into a national thing. So I think it's great.